I can't believe I've been making videos for basically 10 months now, and I'm just now getting around to filming a bookshelf tour. Hello everybody, my name is Danny, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're like me, you love a good bookshelf tour, because I love a good bookshelf tour, and hopefully that's what this video will be. I have two different shelf units that I want to show you. The first is my white cube shelves over there, and then the shelves that I have behind me. I procrastinated filming this because for the longest time I was putting it off, saying, well, I have to wait until I get a big bookshelf and then I can move all of the rest of my books back from my parents' house here, but I don't want to wait any longer, and so you're going to get this video, and then when I eventually get another big bookshelf or two and I'm able to finally move the entire rest of my collection out of my parents' house, you'll get a part 2 to this. So without any further ado, I'm gonna show you guys some books. Okay, so here are my white cube shelves. So up top you see my many recycling bins holding my pens and pencils and bookmarks and other miscellaneous items. I have a little mirror up there and my hair ties and some other knickknacks. Then the first two cubes on the left and in the middle have my crafting supplies. I have all my washi tape, a little sewing kit, my sticker collection, all my sticky notes and index cards. And then on the right hand side, I have a little bit of a book collection there. It's kind of cut off from this angle, but I have Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red, Manga in Theory and Practice, which is a craft book written by the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I have Save the Cat. I have a poetry handbook by Mary Oliver. Then I have 4 major plays by Henrik Ibsen, Crush, the poetry collection by Richard Sykin, and then I just have a couple of notebooks and writing pads, and then a little origami crane. And then the little baskets underneath are just full of my clothes, so not important to this tour. So starting on the top shelf of the shelves that you see behind me when I film is a manga shelf with one book at the very end that's not manga, but starting on the left we have the life-changing manga of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, the first 2 hardcover volumes of Full Metal Alchemist, then Levius, then the first 2 bind-ups of Vinland Saga, which I just read Vinland Saga Volume 1 earlier this month. It was one of my August Ski BR picks, and then I was so in love with it. I read it in one day, and then yesterday when my boyfriend was out running errands, he actually picked up Volume 2 so I can read it. And then we have Blade of the Immortal Omnibus 1. Moving along, we have the first 10 volumes of The Girl from the Other Side, except for Volume 3, because apparently the closest place to us that has it is in Delaware, so we're gonna have to get that eventually. And Volume 11 hasn't come out yet, and I think that's the last volume. Then we have Mob Psycho 100, the first 3 volumes, Chainsaw Man Volume 1, Demon Slayer Volume 1, and then all of what is currently out of Jujutsu Kaisen. Volume 0 is the prequel, and then the first 11 volumes of the actual story. And then we have Dune, which is the only non-manga on this shelf, and a funny story about that is that my boyfriend actually bought a different edition of Dune, and then he saw this one in a different bookstore a little bit later, and liked the aesthetic of it better, and it also has an introduction by Neil Gaiman, who both him and I love, and so he bought this one instead and returned the other one. So every time we go into a bookstore and I see the whole big Dune section, I turn to him and be like, hey, do you want Dune? And it's not funny, but it's a joke I'm going to continue to make. And then last on the shelf are just 2 little plushies. The Highland cow was actually a gift from my boyfriend to me when he studied abroad in Scotland a couple of years back. And then just a tiny little elephant from IKEA. Then down on this second shelf, we have, starting at the top of that little stack, The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. As I've mentioned, my boyfriend and I both love Neil Gaiman, and I cannot wait until we both bring all of our books together, because we're going to have so many like duplicate copies of his books. So like he has this copy of The Ocean at the End of the Lane. I have a different version. We both have copies of Good Omens because when we first went long distance a couple years ago, I bought the matching covers and gave one to him, and I kept one so we could kind of buddy read it. We have so many of his books, and it's just going to be such a cool little collection. Then underneath that, there is Planet X, which is the Star Trek X-Men crossover book from like the 90s or something. Then is my Aragon collection. So right now you only see Aragon and Inheritance. That's because I am currently reading Eldest, so it's over on my nightstand instead. And then I don't own a copy of the third book, Brissinger. I did at one point, and I don't know what happened to it. Moving right along, we have Attack of the 50-Foot Wallflower, which is such a crazy book, and I love it. Then Gun Love and Dealing in Dreams are just two books I know pretty much nothing about, but I saw them at the dollar store, and for $1 I figured I'll just get them. Then The Witch King by H.E. Edgman, Roar by Cora Carmack, Before She Ignites by Jody Meadows, The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green, Odin's Child by Siri Pedersen, The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd-Jones, The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddix, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos, I think is how it's pronounced, but I'm not entirely sure. Then is my beautiful bind-up edition of Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights. I have read Jane Eyre before in college for a class, but I've never read Wuthering Heights, and I'm excited to eventually read it, finally. Then we have Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambry, The Wizards of Once by Cressida Cowell, who, fun fact, is the author of How to Train Your Dragon. And then we have, finally, Italian Folktales by Italo Calvino. And last but not least, on this bottom shelf that you do not see in my videos, we have just a little stack of books that I am planning on unhauling. I think I want to go to some of those little free libraries and leave them there. And if you guys would like to see maybe a vlog of that, let me know. That's definitely a video I'm interested in making. We have a little crate here where it's got some DS games and my DS and a couple of different decks of cards and also a flower crown on top. Then we come to the box that houses all of my tarot decks. I have 4 tarot decks, and one of them is sitting on top there. I just got lazy and didn't feel like putting it back in after the last time I used it. And then we come to my dice tray for D&D, because we all know I love D&D. And I got this beautiful dice tray as a Christmas gift for my brother-in-law a couple years ago, and I'm obsessed with it. And then we have Catan, one of my favorite board games of all time. And there you have my bookshelf tour. I didn't take the books out to show you the covers for 2 reasons. The first being that I don't have a tripod, hence the slightly shaky footage. And so, like, holding the camera with one hand and trying to show you the cover of the books would just not end well. And also, these shelves back here are kind of like crates, and so there's different slats in the bottom of the shelves, and so taking books out and putting them back in is kind of a hassle, and I just did not want to deal with that. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any of these books, if any of them are your favorites, or if some are ones that are kind of on your radar but you haven't picked up yet. I would love to hear about them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my channel for more content. And that way I'll see you in the next video. Bye!